Hello everyone. We are going to talk today all about what do you do when you're basically good at making diet plans but not necessarily sticking to them. I'm Corinne Crabtree from fitandfat.com. I lost 100 pounds 12 years ago, and for the last 10 years I've been helping women lose weight online. And it's funny because today I was like, what do I really want to teach today? And then I'm in my tribe. We have a private Facebook group. And there is this jumbo thread going down, talking all about, it started with, I am so good at making, hey Dawn, and Dawn, who's in here, is, she said, we've got to quit dawning. What she means by not dawning anymore is that she loves to make plans. She's great at color coding. Like, she has been with me for years. And one of the things that I love about her is that if she's going to plan something, she's going to do it right. I mean, it's going to be an Excel spreadsheet. It's going to have multiple colors, and it's going to be awesome. But here's where I see a lot of my clients having problems. So we have a couple things that go on. One is they create plans that are so perfect. And I know that when people are losing weight, they're like, what do you mean? Shouldn't all of our plans be perfect? And it's like, sort of. So if you know me, one of the things that's like very important in the planning process for someone who has a lot of weight to lose. Now, I lost 100. So when I'm talking to people, I am not talking to someone who is a really good 10-pound dieter. I'm actually talking to people who are like, my weight has been the struggle of my life. Like, I am like tired, like bone-ass tired of dealing with it. It's kind of where I was when I lost mine. And so for us, I just think it's a little different. I think what we get really good at is breaking plans and not following through on plans. And we practice that over and over again to where that just becomes habit. That becomes automatic. That becomes, like we get really good at not following through. You can get really good at anything, guys. You can get really good at not following through too. So what do you do when you're like in this mode set? So one of the things that I teach the girls is, when you're creating plans, they have to be realistic. There is the plan that would be perfect for someone that is the should plan, the whatever plan, right? What I challenge people to do, which I think is way harder than coming up with the perfect plan, is to come up with the plan that meets you where you are. Now, when you are meeting yourself where you're at, that's totally uncomfortable. Your brain will scream and cry and whine and tell you that you're a failure because you're not planning the perfect plan. It will go through its own set of drama around that. That in itself is work. It is, to me, harder to make a plan that says, this is what I can do today, when your brain is saying, yeah, but everybody else is doing this. Yeah, but remember 10 years ago when you lost all that weight, this is what you did. Remember that one time you were successful? This is what you did. That is what our brain does. It starts looking for all kinds of evidence for why whatever we do is just not good enough. You have to be willing to set that shit aside. You have to be willing to be like, that's normal. Like, seriously, that is so normal. All of us are going to do that. All of us are going to be sitting there and like talking ourselves out of even following the simplest of plans. But here's the thing that I do know. Commitment's really key. So you have to get to where you can commit to a plan. So before you get caught up in, like, one of the things I want you to gut check first. So this is for, are my girls that we're talking, Michelle, I know you're here. You may not have said, I won't say your last name, but I know you were it. I think you were the originator. Dawn, a few of you. If you're here, you don't have to like wave your hand so that in case you have friends from the internet watching, but just, I just want to make sure you guys are here because y'all were talking about it. The first thing I want you to do is get really honest and say, okay, is part of the problem, like first step is this plan that I'm creating, and I don't even remember who posted this, but it's one of you girls that said it. Is this the plan that I think I should be following, or is this the plan that I will follow? There's a big difference, guys. Huge. Like for a lot of people, we all, maybe should be working out 5 days a week. But if you are doing jack nothing right now, starting at 5 days at 5 a.m. in the gym with a trainer who's going to kick your ass for an hour might not be realistic, especially in the middle of the holidays, right? So you start where you're at. So I think one of the things you guys have got to clean up first and foremost is making sure that whatever it is that you're planning is not a bunch of shoulds, is not a bunch of, well, if everything goes perfect, a lot of, well, so-and-so did this, or they'll think this. Like, you got to take all that out. And that's not easy. You will not want to, but you need to tell yourself, am I ready to change or not? Change requires you. I've told at least 3 of you today in our group. Your brain, what you're listening to, and you're saying, yeah, but it's going to be painful. It's going to be all these things. Like, you got to quit listening to your own brain. It's not giving you good advice. When I'm working with you guys, I'm pointing out the thoughts that you're having that are not helping you to lose weight, and you want to hang on to them so hard. And I'm like, quit taking your own advice for a few minutes. Take mine. Your brain is just so stuck in your old story. It needs to experience something else for a little bit, which means it is going to be painful to do something different. It's going to tell you you're going to fail. It's going to tell you you're not perfect. It's going to tell you this is too hard. It's going to tell you that you deserve this donut instead of something else. But that's just what your brain is going to want to tell you. It does not make it the truth. It just makes it what you have been thinking. That's all. And so we've got to start practicing some other thoughts, some stuff to go in over the top of that in order for those old stories to die a slow death. That's the other thing. They die a slow death. You guys think that whenever I tell you to start thinking about something different or let's focus on this or whatever, that all of a sudden it's all supposed to change. It will sound so good on my podcast. It will sound so good in this live. It will just be like, oh, high five. Where are you every day? It sounds good now because, yeah, it's like, all right, I've got this. And then you don't practice these thoughts. You don't put it anywhere else. You don't set reminders on your phone. And that's what we're going to talk about as the next point. So the first thing is to make that realistic plan. If you do not know how to do that and you are new to me, you can go to pnp411.com. Take my free course. The very first video that you're going to get, you'll put your email address in, you will get the video right now. It talks all about the commitment. If you're one of my tribe members, you just need to get in the Facebook group and let's keep talking about it because I'm in there today. Kathy's off today. So you have me coaching. So the next part of all of this is, so you make a plan, right? Now, a lot of you, if you know me, if you listen to the podcast, I'm a big believer, especially when you're first starting or especially when you've been off the rails a little bit, and this works beautifully through the holidays, is the 24-hour plan. The 24-hour plan says that you are going to think about what you're going to commit to the next 24 hours, all right? Now, for some of you, it's even hard to do that. And this is what I say. Set a reminder on your phone. I'd show you a phone, but I'm talking into it. Set a reminder on your phone that goes off at 8 o'clock at night, and it says, do my 24-hour plan. You need to just do the plan, and you need to back up to step 1, which says, only put down for the next 24 hours the things that you are not going to shit all over. I want you to be honest at this stage. It does not behoove you to create perfect plans all the time and then practice failing them. It does not behoove you to keep putting down all this stuff and then the next day making the exact same mistake over and over again. What we have to do is we have to figure out, where can we make a pattern interrupt? And that's all we're doing here. We're hacking the brain. Because I think it's really, really important, guys, that you understand that what you typically will do, and this is what I was kind of coaching on in our group a little bit, I wanted to make sure this got covered, is that when you don't follow your plan, you immediately go into how this makes me wrong, how somehow this makes me a failure. You turn that feedback into how you're broken versus turning that feedback into, how do I adapt the plan? What is it that I need to start changing? Something needs to change. It may be my thinking, it may be my planning, it may be my execution. But you guys, you're not going to change anything if you spend time in your shame spiral. Every second in the shame spiral around what's wrong with you does not fix your ass. Like, there's no payoff down there for that. So if you want to shrink the size of your butt, you got to get like out of your head for a minute and start getting into the data. Start getting into what are these uncommitment times, or uncommitment's not a word, we'll go with it, right? What are they telling me? And stay out of making it mean something terrible about yourself. Get into, what does it mean about my plan, about my execution, about my thoughts? Where in this system do I need to fix things? So you're going to make that plan even more realistic in what you will absolutely do. That's the first pattern interrupt. The second pattern interrupt is you're going to create that 24-hour plan, and then the next day you have to follow it. Do not put one thing on that plan that you are not willing to do. Now, this is for people who are routinely breaking their plan. Now, guys, let me tell you this. The biggest problem that I see with people losing weight is they want it to be complicated instead of easy. And I know you're like, that is not me. I really want it to be easy. I don't want it to be complicated. Proof is in the pudding. To lose weight, it does not take a fuck ton of monkeying around. It takes water. People want to overcomplicate water. It's like, drink the damn water. You want, like, people will look for special shakes, special drinks, special pills, all kinds of stuff. And it's like, water's free, go get it. It's right there. Like, that will help you lose weight. 64 ounces a day. Drink the water. Get some sleep. Prioritize and figure out how to get that sleep. The next thing is, you eat when you start to feel physically hungry, not emotionally hungry. Now, I know that not eating when you're emotionally hungry can be difficult, but if you can just nail your basics, you will lose weight. So on your plan, you're going to plan enough opportunity to eat for when you may be physically hungry. And then you stop before you're full. Just stop before you're full. Don't worry about anything else. Just stop before you're full. That right there, along with being willing to write down every single thing you put in your mouth without judgment and staying out of the shame train, you do those 4 things, you lose weight. Almost all of us will lose all of our weight doing those 4 things. But here's what I hear. Yeah, but should I cut carbs? And should I do this? And should I eat after 7? Should I do blah, blah, blah? It's like, forget all that. 4 basics. You nail that first. You make sure that when you do that 24-hour plan, that those basics are on there. Notice I did not say what to eat. I did not change anything about what you're putting into your body. Sure, there are great things in the world to be eating, and there are things in the world you should not be eating, right? But that's not you right now. Because what's happening is when you're not following a plan, when you are creating one and breaking it all the time, your biggest problem isn't what you're putting in your mouth. Your biggest problem is the habit of not giving a shit about what you say to yourself. Your biggest problem is that you quit on yourself, you don't have your own back, you lie to yourself, you break your own commitments. Like, let's become our own best friend first. Let's make sure that when we say we're going to do something, we just do it. And here's the thing. The majority of you have that skill set. You will tell me and you'll say, but I'm not good at that. I'm not good at following through. Oh yeah, you are. Almost every one of my clients is exactly the same. They tell their kids they're going to do something. They tell their bestie they're going to do something. They tell their boss they're going to do something. Shit gets done. They're real good at getting shit done. It's the same skill set. It's no different. Don't try to make it different. Don't try to tell yourself, but it's me. I'm not good at doing things for myself. I'm not good at putting myself at number one. Yeah, you never will until you quit telling that sad story. You need to start telling yourself, I am really good at prioritizing. When I tell someone else I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start telling myself the things that I know I can do for myself, and I'm going to practice doing that for me. Stay out of the drama. So for my girls specifically that were in the thread, now, you guys already know how to make a plan. I want you to make one that's very realistic. Dawn, I know you're going to fly in there and say, but am I challenging myself enough? Am I doing it? I don't care. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to just make, for this week, for the rest of this week, I don't care if a ding dong goes on your plan at 4 o'clock. When at 4 o'clock, ask yourself, are you hungry for the ding dong? If that's what you've been eating every day, what I want you to do is I want you to, this is in the, none of you should be shocked. It's all in the Ending Overeating course. I'm just giving you the quick rundown of it. All I want you to do is this week is I want you to plan realistically, and I want you to get into the habit of executing the plan. Part of that is going to take a skill set of, you need to print this plan off. This plan should be with you. I think it was Michelle who was saying, well, I make the plan and then I'd memorize it and I go by memory. Yet every day she's not eating her lunch that she's planned. She's talking herself into something else. And I said, so we're not really memorizing the plan, right? Have the plan. Like before you eat anything, what's on my plan? I need to see it. You have to have that visual and physical reminder of your commitments. You have to. The other thing that I would do for all of my girls is whenever you're going to plan to eat, set some reminders on your phone, like, am I hungry? Am I, whatever it may be. Some of you might want to even put reminders down. So if you're in the tribe, you know I'm always talking about your power thought. So last night we talked about how we were setting our December goal. If you don't have the replay yet, it's on its way up. Betsy has everything. So you're going to set your goal for the month and you're going to create the results you want, right? And we worked up how we're going to do our actions and everything. And at the top was the power thought. Put on your phone, on some stickies, wherever you need, what is that thought going to be? And then see it like 50 times in the day. Like, let your ringer go off so much it annoys you. That's when you know you're being constantly reminded of your commitment, of your plan, of what you want to think, what you want to feel, how you're going to get this done. I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see people do when they are, you know, I usually my clients fall into several categories. So we have one category of people who are afraid to plan because they're afraid they'll fail. Then we have the ones that are very good at planning and just not good at following through. It's like they make a great plan and then they're done. And they forget to look at the plan, or they talk themselves out of the plan, and we have to work in there. And then the next category is really, I have the girls that are really good at planning, and I have the girls that are really good at the follow through, and then they live in fear. And it's like we have to clean the fear up. They're so afraid they're going to do something wrong that they forget to put certain things in a plan, like their joy food and that kind of stuff. Then I have the ones that kind of do autopilot, where they are just like good at making a plan. I just follow it. If it breaks, I'm right back on plan. I look at my data. Like they're really in that, what I call the ninja mindset part of things. They're kind of like where I am. It's like, I fuck up all the time. Hell, I overdrank last week. But I didn't sit there and make it mean that there were big time problems in the ship. I wrote about it, examined it, made some new commitments and agreements, and just got right back to following through. That's what you have to do. You cannot waste mental energy, guys, on breaking yourself down. If you want to break something down, break down the process. Figure out what's going wrong in the process. So for you guys, I just want you to see all of the, like if you're doing a plan, you need to have that shit with you. You need to, like when I say, how many times did you look at your plan today? Like you need to have looked at it a lot. Until you're more like one of our clients, Emily Y. Until you're more like Emily or Jody or some of our girls that have been executing plans for a long time, when it feels like it's the backside of your hand, like you just know it, then that you don't have to look at your plan all the time because you just automatically know you're going to be following it. Like, I don't have to look at my plan all the time to know what I will be eating and what choices. But that came from years of practice, from years of looking at my plan, from years of making plans, from years of building those habits to where they did become like, you know, second skin. Eventually that does happen. But don't expect that you should just do it because you thought about it. Your brain's going to think about 10,000 things a day. If you only thought about your plan once, you've got 9,999 other competing thoughts now. You're probably going to have to think about it a little bit more, right? All right, let's see what questions you guys have. Let me go all the way to the top. Man, y'all are chatty. Got a lot of newbies. Thank you for telling me that I look good today. I bought this at Target. I bought this lipstick at Kroger just on a whim. My husband loves this lipstick, like really loves it. So he'll be pleased tonight when I get home, or when he gets home. Let's see. Somebody had a question. Ugh, perfect. I hate that word. All or nothing dieting has been for years. Learning and growing with PNP Daily. Thank you, Yvonne. Guys, if you are not listening to the podcast, I highly recommend it. I actually referred the podcast several times. The 24-hour rule that I was telling you about, which is step 2 of this process, is on the podcast. It's losing 100 pounds with Fit and Fat. You can find it if one of my girls will put in here, fit.click/podcast. and type in the name of the podcast. That would be perfect. A lot of my clients actually are in here. But you can access the 24-hour rule. And I know Kathy and I talk about commitment and following through on plans and stuff. Right now, we're in the middle of a holiday. We're doing holiday podcasts where we're talking about handling the holidays and how to do your holidays. They're very much like this. We talk a lot about thinking ahead, making decisions, and committing to them. My brain is stuck. How do I stop it? Depends on what your brain is stuck on, Gloria. The best way to get your brain stuck from like thinking like, let's say you're a failure, is to ask yourself, why do I think I'm a failure? Figure out what those thoughts are. And then you're going to have to come up with the things you want to think. One of the basis of what I teach is very simple. And this is key for weight loss. Because I think weight loss is all about how you think first and how you eat second. Most of us aren't overweight because we don't know what to eat. Most of us are overweight because we eat junk because of how we think and feel about our lives, right? So what you want to do is you want to understand that everything that you're thinking is really just a choice. Most of us think that life is happening to us and we have to react and all this other kind of shit. And that's not really the case. One of the reasons why most of us break plans to begin with, the plans that we make, is because we make that perfect plan, which was step 1, life will happen, and then we will have a thought, well, see, I can't follow my plan. See, my life's too busy. My life's too hard. My life's too this. That gets stuck in our brain. That is not a fact. That is just how you're looking at your life. And one of the things that I really work with my tribe on is always distinguishing how you do have choices in life. We had a girl yesterday that I coached who left a business and was feeling resentment because she had to start all over again in her 50s and build a new business. And it was not what she had planned, right? Her business is taken off, but she's having to work a lot. And she sits around in resentment all the time. Well, most of us that rely on food to feel good, we can't sit in resentment all day long, and we can't work from resentment. You show up at your job and you feel resentful all day long. You're going to eat to relieve the pressure. Because there's enough pressure that goes on in the world as it is, right? So when we're compounding the pressure, we're just adding fuel to the food fire. And so I was talking to her last night, and I was like, you're blaming them for leaving. You left. They didn't act, I was like, your story is they didn't act the way you wanted, so you had to leave. The story is wrong. The story is they acted a certain way you're the kind of person that doesn't do that. And you're also the kind of person that goes out and makes their own way in the world. Yeah, that sounds a whole lot better than sitting around blaming them for your life. When you do that, then you're like, it was a choice. And if this is my life, I better start thinking some really good shit about it. Doesn't mean it's all going to be perfect, but so often we create our own crap around our life that makes it sound so terrible. And it's like, if you're going to live your life, you better figure out a way to make it feel like the best life you can. That's how you get a lot out of a lot of the eating and stuff. But we don't know how to do that until somebody points it out to us that we are thinking that way. You have to, like, one of the things that I have my girls do is when they first start is a lot of their emotional eating gets taken away from them. When they're not eating to stuffed anymore and they're not eating except for when they're physically hungry, they're like, oh my God, I have been eating out of boredom, out of resentment, out of anger, out of, I need a break. I've been eating for all these other reasons. Now what? Now we break down that life and figure out how do we want to start thinking differently about our life? Because when you do that and you're not using the food, it's a lot easier to lose weight. A whole lot easier. That's when the easy button comes. But I tell people all the time, like when you start working with me, I'm not like most diets. So most diets, it starts off easy and fun and committed, and then it gets harder as you go along. With me, I think what happens is it starts off feeling like ass right out the gate, and then it gets easier as we go along. I was just thinking about this in my negative self-talk over the years. Clearly, it hasn't been working for me, so why not try positive self-talk? Exactly. That's what I was telling a lot of my clients today. I'm like, listen to what you're saying, and you're like, no, but I want to hang on to my pain. Like, no, I'm kind of a failure, so I'm going to do nothing. It's like, quit taking your own advice. If your advice sucks, it would be like you having a friend that had terrible advice who also smelled or something else, and you were just like, I'm all in with that person. It's like, break up with them. Let's see. Oh, Joanne has lost 6 pounds on that free course. I'm glad. I just started with the PNP 411, and I'm already starting to think of my commitment. So you started the free course. That's awesome, Stacy. I've already started to be thinking of my commitment when I find myself wanting to eat something unhealthy. It's really a mind thing that I'm experiencing. It's all a mind thing, guys. All of it. I tell my girls all the time, there's very few facts in the world. There just aren't that many. Everything else is a story that we create. The biggest problem most of us have is that we're shitty storytellers. We tell the story of our life as if we're broken, that we'll never be fixed, that somehow it's harder for us, that if the world would change, my life would change, and blah, 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 blah. That's a crappy story. You can tell a completely different one. If you listen to the podcast, you really should listen to the one where we talk about rewriting your past. I think it's called If Your Past Sucks, Listen Up, or something like that. I forget the name of it, but it's around your past. It's really good because it talks about how we are all just sitting around explaining our lives in a way that totally doesn't allow us to lose weight, to be happy, to feel motivated when we easily could. And I'm not saying that all of life is, roses and daisies and stuff. I'm just saying that the majority of us spend an awful lot of time creating fake drama where there's no drama for us. Like when you make a mistake on your diet, when you overeat, beating yourself up over it, that's an optional story you get to tell. It's like, that sounds good. Let me just slap myself around a little bit. It's not good. And it's not required. Most people have never been told that they don't have to do that step. You could go straight into, I wish I hadn't have done that, but since I did, let's break this down and figure it out. When you're breaking your plans, the sooner you can get to the stage where you're figuring out how to make it better next time, to come up with a strategy, You may have to make the same mistake 40 times and try 40 strategies. But here's the deal. The 41st time probably will work. Are you committed to going the distance on that? Are you committed to messing up as many times as it takes to get it right? And see, and people, this is where we have to really, like, when you're, like, all of my girls, you need to be asking yourself that question. What's my upper limit on mistakes? If your upper limit is really low, then dieting is hard. It's really hard. Changing how you think, changing how you eat, changing when you wake up, changing how you deal with stress, changing how you deal with the commute on the way home, changing how you react when your husband, like this week, we had some husbands say some pretty gnarly things to our girls about weight loss. Changing all of that to where, like, you deal with it and you don't eat. How often are you willing to mess that up in order to stay in the game and get it right one day? Like, that's a great, like, my girls, you need to be answering that question. Seriously. It's probably one of the best questions you could be asking yourself. How committed am I to my mistakes? Because a lot of you are showing me you're not committed at all to your mistakes. You're committed to your plan. You're committed to planning. But you're not committed to digging deep and not shaming and figuring out what it's going to take in order to make that plan work. All right. October newbie. Hey, Noelle. She joined October 14th, lost 17 pounds since then, and she started with the free course. And she said, yes, it's really free. It is really free. If you go over there, it's free. I'm not going to be like, give me a few bucks for this. No, it's free. Hey, Jody. I think I mentioned you a few minutes ago. Susan, making a realistic plan is key. That way you get momentum because you succeeded at your plan. You've proven to yourself that you can execute your plan. And that is another key part. It's not only so much that you get really good at just doing it and you practice the habit and you practice the behavior. You also allow yourself to feel good for a moment. You're like, okay, I did do that. That's the other thing, is that when we practice all the time beating ourselves up and spending time in the shame train and all that kind of junk, one of the key things you guys can do is really, you're going to have to point out to yourself every small win. And it will feel so uncomfortable, and your brain will literally have a cramp because it will not want to tell you you're doing it right. Because if for some reason you start believing things are working and it's going right, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, but what if it doesn't? Oh my God, what will happen? Like, I don't know what will happen, but you know what? Let's just live in the moment of trying to figure out how to find our successes. You've got to be able to find success. You can't lose weight if you can't find success. You just can't. It requires you to experience. Losing weight requires you to experience success. And for those of you who are afraid of success, you've got to think about that. It requires two things. Being committed to the mistakes for as long as they take, and being committed to experiencing success and really taking it in. Some people are probably listening to this going, there are people that really struggle with this. Like my husband, sometimes he listens to my podcast and stuff, and he is like, people really struggle with this? I'm like, yeah. Like, your wife was one of them. I am still that way in several things. I didn't weigh 250 pounds because I was like, I'm a badass mama and I love mistakes. I was so caught up in the idea that my life was hard. I mean, if you listen to my story, you know I was a suicide at 17, tried to attempt suicide. I eloped with a douche at 18. I mean, you just name it. My 18, like basically 17 through about 25 was a hot wreck express. I had other moments in my life that weren't so great, but I would say those years were like on up there. I didn't weigh 250 because I was so good at all that stuff. I had to learn it over time. While I was losing my 100 pounds, There were so many times that I felt like a failure. There were so many times that I was consumed that I would never get there. There were so many times I would wake up and think, why did it take this long? Like, especially after I lost my weight, there were so many days where I would wake up and cry because of what my body looked like, because I had spent those years overweight. And I would quickly talk to myself and just be like, this doesn't work. Thinking about these things, being fearful and stuff, you just don't have time for it. My mentor calls it indulging, and that's kind of what I did. Like, I was really good at figuring out when I was indulging in feeling like shit. And I would be like, this is the exact feelings, these are the exact thoughts and stuff that have kept me fat all my life. The exact ones. And when these certain ones come up, I know right now I need to do something. I need to do some positive action for myself. I need to tell myself I can keep going no matter what. When I didn't think I would lose the weight, I would be like, we don't get to think that way. We're going to figure it out. I'm a big believer in the power thought of I'm figuring it out. It puts you in action. It gets your brain trained on where you want to go. I just think I'm figuring it out is the best thought anybody can hang on to, because it works for everything. It's not just weight. Like when Logan, especially when Logan was diagnosed with autism, you know, he was 5. It was so hard. Like, I knew it was coming. My husband didn't know it was coming. It just, I can't even tell you. Y'all can go back and I've done a live and on that too. So if you want to hear the whole story where I cried and stuff, I'm not crying today. But one of the things that I really held on to, because I was really scared, there were parts of me that felt like my child had died. And it wasn't that he did, it was all the dreams that I had for him. It was like somebody just threw a match on them and they just burned in a second. And I remember thinking that, like, I didn't have to know how I was going to save him. And there were so many times that I was so worried I would never be able to. And my brain would go to, you know, him being 25 or 30 years old and me being terrified that he couldn't take care of himself, that all these things would happen. And I would reel my brain back in and just be like, we are going to figure this out. You can help this child. We do not know what we're doing, but I will die trying. It was kind of like what I was telling y'all earlier about being committed to the mistakes. I was so committed to figuring out how to just help him. And it was riddled with mistakes. I said I wasn't crying today. I guess I lied. I'm also ovulating, so mama gets a little emotional when she ovulates. I feel like I'm having a chicken egg on the right side. But it just, you know, when you think about your life, you know, I think about all the times when I had to like pull up the best parts of my strength. Like when I left my ex-husband, I didn't have any money. I remember finding out he cheated on me and then going into my mother's office and saying, I'm leaving. And she said, do you mean it? Because she knew he was terrible for me. And I said, yes. She said, call right now to the apartment complex, get all your locks changed, and stop payment on anything that you've paid that's his. And I said, okay. And she said, and if you mean it, I will pay for the divorce, but you have to get a divorce. I was all in. I did not know what I was going to do. I had no clue. I didn't make hardly any money. I had no education. I had dropped out of college to support us, and I was 20 years old, living on my own, like, got to figure it out. And I did. I've always been that way. And I think that for years while I was, and I weighed like about 250 then. For years, I just never applied my power thought to the one area that I thought could never be solved. And I think that's key for all of you. When I talked earlier about, like, you know how to be committed, so I bet 95% of the women on this right now, that they would do anything for their child. They will shift their priorities for their loved ones. They will do everything because Your thought is, I will figure it out. If you want it, I will figure it out. You're just not applying it to yourself. You're allowing the bullshit excuse that if I put myself first, I have to be selfish. That is just not true. I don't even know what to tell you to make you not believe it other than just tell yourself it's not true. When you decide to just be committed to you, you will have the alignment. Like if that's your goal, like I'm just going to be committed to myself. Your actions will not be, well, now I'm not going to take care of my kids, and now I'm going to shit all over my husband, and now I'm going to be a bitch. Y'all are not going to do that. But you can be committed to yourself in a way that gives more love to the world. Figure it out. Start asking yourself how you're going to do that versus staying in the story of, yeah, but if I put myself first, I'm being selfish. You will never figure it out thinking that. Ever. You will never follow a plan thinking shit like that. Ever. All right, let's see what else. For a minute, I thought you were naked with just a red scarf around your neck. Yeah. No, I got the Tubi on today. I get hot when I do these, so if you're wondering why I'm almost always like sleeveless, it's because like seriously my pits are pouring right now. I think it's because I get all preachy and shit, and then and I'm drinking a cup of hot coffee. That's always helpful. Let's see. I'm gonna skip a few things, guys, just to make it go quicker. Joining this tribe is life-changing. Hey, Kelly. So it's so funny because, like, you're in town. We need to have coffee, seriously. Like, Kathy, if you're on here, we need to have coffee with Kelly. She's only been living out of a hotel down the street from us for 6 months now. Poor thing. You will not waste any other money on bullshit plans that didn't work. Thank you, Kelly. Shannon, where do I get a plan? If you want the free course, Shannon, super easy. pnp411.com, banana yellow button. Just click on free course and you'll sign up, and then it will deliver a video to you every day. There's 4 videos. So each day you'll get one, and you'll get a workbook that has like a planning calendar in it, has all kinds of cool things in it. And you just take the free course. And a lot of girls lose a lot of weight on that free course. I get emails daily about that. And then I would also listen to the podcast, guys. If you're not listening to the podcast, like this Facebook Live, it is rebroadcast on Saturday's podcast. And then Friday is with me and my co-host, where we actually come up with a topic that we're going to teach together. She's lost 80 pounds with me, and then I lost my 100. And together, we're just, giving you all kinds of information on how to lose weight, the mindset, our personal experience. I think when it comes to like, when you're trying to lose a lot of weight and really change your life, because my thing is I don't want to just teach you how to lose weight. I want to teach you how to lose weight and never have to lose it again. Like I want this to be a real lifestyle for you. So it's nice when you have people who are like you, who are teaching you. I am brand new. I've been listening to your podcast and I've started the free course. Awesome. I lost 100 pounds and regained it. I'm living a 24-hour plan every day. I review at night, in the morning, and throughout the day. That's perfect, Lori. That is exactly where you need to be. I would absolutely keep doing that, and I wouldn't deviate. I tell a lot of my clients, like the 24-hour plan, you don't ever have to do, like I love to do a weekly plan. I like to have all my decisions made for a week. I mean, I even plan my business out a week in advance, like here's the days I'm doing this and blah, blah, blah. I love to batch stuff. Just like how I food prep and I batch my food prep. I do the same thing with my work. It just makes life easier because my brain's not switching gears all the time. But for some people, that's not you, or at least not you yet. I know people that have lost tons of weight and all they ever do is a 24-hour plan. They're like, I plan the next day and I'm just effing good at executing the next day. That's what I do. And that works for me. If that's you, then do that. I have such issues with alcohol consumption and my weight loss. Will you be doing a podcast on alcohol? I can, Lindsay. Actually, my clients are getting a special workshop next year, some in the early part of 2018 on that. I tell you though, Lindsay, a great podcast to listen to is one of my fellow master coaches. She doesn't work for me. She has her own business, but we both trained under the same person. It's called, It's Rachel Hart. Look up Rachel Hart, RachelHrt.com. Her podcast will be on there. I think it's not the Done Drinking. It's called, I can't remember the name of it. I haven't listened to it today. I love her podcast. It's so good, but we teach the same kind of stuff, but she focuses in on drinking. Watch hers or listen to her, but if you'll just go to her website, you'll be able to find it. One of my girls might actually know because I recommend her a lot. She's great. What about sodas? This is from Stacy. I'm very addicted to Pepsis. Is it okay to plan for one Pepsi each day? It's your plan, Stacy. That's the beautiful thing. If you want to plan a soda each day and you're able to lose your weight and you feel fine, then I would just plan it. Are they the best thing ever for you? No, of course not. No, but I'm not sitting here saying drink Cokes, everybody, and you'll lose weight. What I am saying though is that for now, if you want to plan a Pepsi every day and you want to have your one Pepsi every day, and you've created the rest of your plan to have that plus be able to lose weight, that is exactly what I would do. When you listen to the first couple podcasts, I tell my story. You all know I started with, I did not change food. I just started my step one was go walk for 15 minutes at the Y. I wanted to get very committed and good at doing that. I knew when I got started that I was in this for my life. I was not in this for 18 months. It took me 18 months, but I didn't think, okay, I have 18 months to lose my 100 pounds and this is what I'm going to do, blah, blah. I was just like, we're changing. We're figuring it out. I continued to eat ice cream out of the carton on the couch in the beginning because I was all about making small lifestyle changes. I don't remember, it was 2 or 3 weeks in, I was decided, I'm going to put it in a bowl today. Like a big bowl. Not a little bowl, like a big one, but I was not going back to that carton. I don't care how bad I wanted to. Even if I hadn't put enough in my big bowl, I was not going back to the carton. That was my new rule. That was my new commitment. And there were times I wanted to go back to the carton, just get a little bit more. And I'm like, no, you can have ice cream tomorrow because that's what you're doing. And then I got to where I made smaller bowls. And every time, it was all because I was practicing doing what I would say, and then my brain would be like, well, that worked out. Do you want to up the ante a little bit? Do you want to try something different? And that's kind of what I teach my girls. Like the first week or two, we don't even talk about what you're eating. We get really good at understanding our body and our mind. And I do that on purpose. I just want you guys getting really good at understanding how to be your own best advocate. How to really listen to what your needs are and act on that. And to not hesitate to pull the trigger on it. Kelly, I've been listening to you all morning. You are amazing. Well, thank you. I have struggled with my weight all my life. I used to blame my mom, who was an amazing cook, on my weight because I couldn't resist her cooking. Well, I lost her over a year ago, and now I'm heavier than ever. It never pays to blame anybody, right? Blame is when we don't want to take the responsibility for what we are doing. It's like, well, let me just blame you. Because if I blame you, then I don't have to feel bad. I also don't have to do anything about it. Because once you take responsibility, here's what happens. Shit, now I have to actually do something. If you don't have to take responsibility, that means, well, it's out of my control. I don't have to do any work, right? And I'm sorry about your mom too. I have so much commitment to exercise, but never seem to stick to a healthy eating plan. My brother and I said if we can go through the tragedy of losing mom, that we could get through anything, yet I still haven't gotten through my weight issues. I guess no question here. Just wanted to say someday I would like to say that you got through to me. You will, Kelly. And it's just like your brother said. You're just processing it. You're processing how you're going to get this done. Rather than thinking about it not being able to happen for you, start thinking about, every day here's your power thought. Today, I'm going to figure out one thing I'm going to do that's better than yesterday. That's all I got to do. And you build up your tiny momentum. That's all you have to do. Let's see. Somebody, guys, if you want to share this, you can. A few of you are talking about me preaching the Bible. Always feel free to, after this is over, if you want to share these with your friends and stuff, please feel free. Share the podcast, share whatever you want. I always appreciate it. Wow, this popped up in my newsfeed, and I'm so glad I clicked. Hi, Kyla. What you're saying and how you're saying clicks with me. I can't wait to do some research on your page and get started. I'm ready. That's awesome. Yeah, just go to pnp411.com. I found your podcast on another one I was listening to. I have a feeling your take is going to help me finally change my life for good. Your tribe reopens on my 30th birthday. I think that's a sign. That's awesome, Cassandra. Yeah, just so everybody knows, if you're thinking about joining PNP Tribe, go to pnptribe.com and get on the wait list. The wait list will open on December the 28th. And everybody that's on the wait list will get in, and you're going to be invited to special trainings beforehand, that kind of stuff. So just make sure you're on there. I will be sending, let's see, on the 28th is when I will actually send out a special link just to the wait list for you guys to join first. Plus, you get the most time in the small group. So what we do is we start newbies together, and then Kathy and I and the other coaches, we train you like a fiend. A lot of these girls started in October. They know exactly what happens. We're in there. We are legit in there every day. We're coaching. We're talking. We're shooting quick lives. We're doing all kinds of stuff to help you really understand your basics. And then you join what is the main tribe. People like Jody and Heidi and other people that are posting on here. They're all in the main tribe. And then we work with you all together there. One of the biggest questions I get from right before our newbies move over to the main tribe, they always say like, well, are we going to still have access to you? I'm like, yeah. Like today, this live is a byproduct of my ass in that Facebook group all morning long, coaching away. So yes, we coach, guys, we coach. Let's see. People talking about smoking and cokes. I tell you what, smoking and cokes are always going to be the coolest things, because that's the ones that, like, I tell you, if you can get off coke and you can get off smoking, you can do just about do anything in this world. I remember my grandfather was dying of stomach cancer, and he told me it was when he was dying. No, it was before that. So my grandfather had stomach cancer, but he was a smoker all of his life. He was also an alcoholic most of his life. And it was about 2 years before he got stomach cancer, he had decided he was going to quit drinking and quit smoking, right? So that he could, he was having all kinds of problems. They told him he probably just had to stop. And he was in the hospital a lot. Well, he did, and he gained like 20 pounds or something like that. Always had been just, $150 all of his life, right? Well, he decided he was going to lose 20 pounds because he didn't like being, more than what he weighed when he was 19 or something. And he made it about 3 days. And my grandfather, could eat anything. And he would eat anything. He came to me and he said, baby, I will never, ever tell you again that losing weight's easy. I have quit drinking. I have quit smoking. But this losing weight shit is the hardest thing I've ever tried to do. And he was serious as a heart attack. I was just like, psh, psh. That's why I love you, Pawpaw. He was always speaking the truth. Heather, I've lost 20 pounds mostly due to a change in medication, but I've also started thinking about food differently. Love, love, love your podcast, and I love your message. Thank you. You're welcome, Heather. Okay, guys, I'm going to call it here. Y'all are just so sweet. There's all kinds of awesome things going in here. Karen, I'm going to close with your comment. How about a podcaster live with the King? Would love to hear how he helps behind the scenes to make PNP a success. I've tried to get the King to do a podcast with me, and he just doesn't think you guys want to hear from him. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I talk about you all the time. I mean, he's so interesting. I will work on him, and we'll either do a special podcast for the podcast, or we'll do a private member one. I'll get him on somehow. But Chris's mindset is amazing. It really is. When I look back on what is it that helped me the most, he never really said a lot to me. He was like a quiet storm. What I noticed, and I'll close on this because this is so important for all of us moms especially. What I noticed was that he always led by example. If he wanted me to think positively, he thought positively. He didn't tell me how to think. He also didn't tell me what I was doing wrong. And he also didn't tell me what his opinion was. He just looked at life differently than I did. Because I was very negative. I saw everything that was wrong first. People are always like, you were a pessimist? Very much so. And so he did that. He also, like, when I would ask his opinion, he always had one simple thing. And it would be like, I know you can do anything you set your mind to. That was always the bottom line. Like, sure, I know you can do anything you set your mind to. And he just kept reminding me of that. And I think it was the first time in my life where I really heard it and I saw it live and in action. So for all of you who do not have a king or have a Chris Crabtree, in your life who can do these things for you, we are in the age where if you want mentors, you can have them at your fingertips. I actually have I don't know if it may be tomorrow's, if you're on my mailing list. So if you do the free course, you're on my mailing list. So you get what's called the Wednesday Wisdom, which is just me giving you some wisdom of something that I know about, and tomorrow I think it's about mentors. And one of the things that I talk about in there is I feel like I'm your mentor. Like I take the relationship with not just my clients, but everybody that listens to the podcast, the people that show up for the lives, the people who read the emails, who visit the blog, any way that you are connected to me, I take that very seriously. And in this day and age, you can have the people in your life you need in order to facilitate the change you need. At no other time have we had things like podcasts where if you want to hear the messages you need to hear all the time to drown out the other people in your life who may not be giving it to you or who may be counteracting it, you can do that. We are so lucky in this day and age. Like this upcoming month, I'll be doing some free webinars on just holiday tips, on how to get through the holidays and still be able to button your jeans, things like that. Don't worry, my clients, you have a whole program. I will invite you to in case I know you guys love to come and do anything. You will get invited. But the main thing is that I want you to understand that you don't have to have married my husband or someone like him in order for your life to change. Back then, I just paid attention. You can pay attention now. You have that available to you. Do not fall into the excuse that because I have clients who are married to not so great individuals or married to just men who just are negative and stuff. That's okay. The reason why it's okay is because you are staying there, right? If you're not changing it, change you then. You make the best of your situation. You figure out your situation. If you need mentors and positive messages, and if that would change your life, then you change your life. There is no moment where you have free time where you don't listen to music anymore. You don't watch TV anymore. You know what you do? I'm a podcaster. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm reading books. I'm getting my hands on everything that I can consume that keeps my mind right. It's the beauty of this day and age. I think it's great. It's what I do all day. Like one of the things that I love about my job is that I actually get paid to elevate my mind so I can teach other people how to elevate their mind and get, shit off their ass too. So there's that. All right. PNP411.com for the free course. Losing 100 pounds with Fit and Fat is the podcast. And if you're going to work with me in January, you need to be on the wait list. Go to pnptribe.com. You'll find out all the information. Get on the wait list. We open December 28th. We will close on January 2nd. And then I will not be open again until March. So if you miss the January one, you will have to wait until March to get in. And with that, y'all have a wonderful week. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye, y'all.